Hello, Golden State Warriors fan. It's great to have you here following another special piece of content about the team that makes your heart race with every three-pointer and every fast break run. Before we get started, do that little thing that helps the channel grow a lot. Subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications. This ensures that you receive everything firsthand, always staying informed about the news involving the franchise, the roster, and the behind-the-scenes of the NBA. This participation is essential and allows us to keep bringing complete analysis and hot information for you who live and breathe basketball. That said, let's dive into the topic that has taken over conversations, sports shows, social networks, and bar tables among fans: the possible move that puts Morant on the path of the Golden State Warriors. We're not talking about a simple, ordinary off-season rumor, but about a series of pieces of information that have been gaining weight, crossing sources, and creating an atmosphere of expectation that few moves in the recent past have managed to provoke. The entire league is watching closely every sign, every leak, every hint that one of the most electrifying point guards of today might share the court with Stephen Curry. Morant, known for his absurd vertical leap, explosive drives to the basket, and the confidence he shows in decisive moments, quickly became a symbol of a new style of point guard in the NBA. He not only dictates the pace of games, but also changes the mood of the arena with a single play. Now, imagine this energy channeled into the collective and highly refined system of the Warriors, where constant movement, reading of spaces, and high-volume shooting make up a well-established identity. The technical fit immediately draws attention, but the emotional and symbolic impact can be even greater. In recent weeks, sources connected to people close to the player and to the Golden State front office indicate that the conversations are not superficial. There is an exchange of interests, an evaluation of contractual scenarios, studies of the impact on the salary cap, and sporting projections for the coming years. What once seemed like a distant dream began to be treated as a concrete possibility, to the point that even more conservative analysts admit that there is enough substance to take the scenario seriously. And when that happens in the NBA, it is because something big is really being discussed. The possible 4-year deal for Morant with the Golden State Warriors would be a gigantic step for both sides. For the player, it would mean immediately entering a winning context, surrounded by champions, technical references, and an environment of high competitive demand. For the franchise, it would represent a rejuvenation without losing quality, a renewal without having to rebuild everything from scratch. It is the continuity of a victorious era with a touch of reinvention, something that few organizations manage to do successfully. Looking at what happens on the court, the imagination runs wild. Stephen Curry continues to be the great conductor on the perimeter, drawing double and triple teams and opening spaces that seem impossible. Draymond Green remains the defensive thermometer, organizing the back line and starting transitions with long, precise passes. Alongside them, Morant would add constant aggressiveness toward the rim, breaking defensive lines with quick handles and sharp changes of direction, creating a collapse in opposing defenses that would need to choose between protecting the paint or closing out the perimeter. Any choice would bring painful consequences. The Warriors' style, which values off-ball cuts, passing sequences, and intelligent use of screens, would gain a new dimension with a point guard capable of putting high-level pressure on the rim. Morant attracts multiple defenders whenever he accelerates toward the basket, which opens up open shots for specialists on the perimeter and easy layups for players cutting to the rim. This combination is not only aesthetically appealing, but extremely efficient from a tactical standpoint. It is the kind of mix that changes games, series, and, in some cases, entire seasons. Behind the scenes, it is also said that Morant looks favorably on the possibility of sharing responsibilities. In many games, he was forced to carry almost alone the creative weight of his former team. On the Warriors, he would have Curry, Green, and other players beside him who are capable of organizing the game, which would allow the point guard to alternate moments of creation with stretches of pure offensive aggressiveness. This extends a career, reduces physical wear, and increases overall efficiency. It is not just about shining, but about shining for longer and in games that really matter. Golden State's interest does not come out of nowhere. After seasons marked by highs and lows, the front office understood that it was necessary to find a piece that could serve as a bridge between the present and the future. Morant, still young but already with star status, fits perfectly into this logic. He is capable of competing right now while he learns and absorbs the winning culture of a franchise that knows what it is to play in finals and lift trophies. At the same time, he has the age and conditions to be a protagonist in the next chapters when the current generation begins to say goodbye. Naturally, a move of this size requires complex financial adjustments. The NBA imposes strict rules on the salary cap and penalties, and any major move needs to be planned with extreme care. Comments coming from people close to the franchise point out that the Golden State front office had already been preparing for an impact move, reviewing contracts, analyzing trade scenarios, and projecting room for maneuver. The possible arrival of Morant is not a sudden impulse, but the result of planning that had already been drawn up behind the scenes. The immediate impact would also be seen off the court. The Golden State Warriors brand, one of the most powerful in world sports, would become even stronger with the presence of one of the league's most media-driven figures. Morant speaks directly to a generation that grew up watching viral plays, cinematic dunks, and quick cuts turned into clips shared millions of times. Uniting that appeal with the Warriors' global reach means multiplying audience, engagement, and interest in the team in various parts of the world. At the same time, the Warriors' locker room has a reputation for welcoming talented players and demanding commitment. Experienced leaders like Curry and Green help establish clear standards of discipline, competitiveness, and focus. The expectation is that the arrival of Morant, if it is confirmed, will find this environment prepared to extract the best from his talent, enhancing his strengths and helping to correct any excesses that are natural in athletes who have carried such a heavy responsibility from an early age. This exchange between youth and experience is often decisive in building championship rosters. It is not only the Warriors fan base that is following this storyline. Rival teams are watching with concern. Coaches are already beginning, behind the scenes, to think about defensive schemes capable of dealing with the Curry-Morant combination on the perimeter. Any rotation mistake can result in an open three-pointer or a devastating drive. If it was already difficult to guard Golden State because of the constant movement, with Morant on the floor, the level of unpredictability rises another notch. This forces deep tactical adjustments and, at times, even changes in the way opposing rosters are built. Of course, there are also questions. Some wonder how Morant will adapt to such a structured system after years with much more total freedom of decision. Others raise concerns about the physical wear and tear of a player who relies so much on his athletic explosiveness. However, there is strong consensus that the Warriors' environment is one of the most suitable to facilitate this kind of transition. The coaching staff has a track record of maximizing talent while keeping players within an efficient collective system without completely stifling their individual traits. From an emotional standpoint, the fan base is already involved. It is enough to look at social networks to notice the volume of edits, comments, and discussions about the possible Morant-Curry duo. Many fans talk about reliving the feeling of surprise and enchantment from the early years of the team that changed the way basketball is played in the NBA. Others point out that this union symbolically represents a passing of the torch between generations of spectacular point guards. The fact is that the collective imagination has already embraced this idea, and that alone shows the size of the move. In a scenario like this, every little detail gains relevance. A like from a player, an ambiguous phrase in an interview, a meeting captured on camera already becomes fuel for new theories. Meanwhile, more experienced analysts bring up historical examples of signings that changed the course of entire franchises, recalling that sometimes a single arrival is capable of completely altering the balance of power in the league. There are those who see in a possible move of Morant to the Warriors exactly this kind of event. It is also impossible to ignore what this represents for the future of basketball itself. The NBA lives on narratives, rivalries, and striking characters. Morant has charisma, his own style, and a game that excites even those who do not root for his team. Placing him alongside one of the greatest shooters in history creates a combination of talent and legacy that fuels the imagination of fans and raises global interest in the sport. International broadcasts, official merchandise sales, and digital engagement tend to explode in such a scenario. With all this context, the question that remains is simple. What separates rumor from reality? According to several sources, less and less. Conversations are progressing, the interest of both sides is evident, and the efforts to make the deal possible seem intense. There are no guarantees until everything is signed and officially announced, but it is already clear that this is not an empty piece of gossip. There is a consistent movement behind the idea of seeing Ja Morant wearing the blue and gold of the Golden State Warriors, and the basketball world is closely following every step taken. Continuing with this scenario that has shaken up the entire league, it is important to observe how the possible arrival of Ja Morant to the Golden State Warriors also reorganizes roles within the current roster. When a player of this caliber comes in, nothing remains exactly the same. Minutes on the court, offensive responsibilities, hierarchy, and decisive moments, everything goes through a natural adjustment. And it is precisely this reorganization that can lift the team to a new level because it forces everyone to reinvent themselves, adapt, and expand the collective repertoire. The players who currently perform secondary roles could benefit directly from the presence of yet another elite playmaker. Wings who depend on passes in motion for open perimeter shots get even more opportunities. Centers and power forwards who move well without the ball find more easy layups, the result of Morant's drives that draw double teams. The opposing defense, forced to collapse to prevent the dunk, opens up spaces that the Warriors' offense knows how to exploit like few others in recent NBA history. At the same time, there is an invisible but extremely powerful effect involving motivation and focus. When a roster realizes that the front office is moving decisively, bringing in a star in his physical and technical prime, the message is direct. The team wants to compete now. There is no room for complacency. This raises the level of practices, intensifies internal competition for minutes, and creates a healthy sense of urgency. That feeling that every possession, every tactical detail, and every regular season game counts towards something bigger. Morant's arrival also reignites the conversation about how the Golden State Warriors handle generational transitions. Many franchises choose between a full rebuild or trying to stretch a winning cycle with the same core as much as possible. The Warriors are walking a third path, renewing while remaining competitive. By bringing in a young star to join established references, they create a bridge between eras, avoiding steep drops in performance and maintaining sporting and media relevance. Inside the locker room, the exchange of experiences could be one of the great keys to success. Young stars usually arrive with inexhaustible energy, hunger for achievements, and high ambition. Championship veterans arrive with scars, lessons learned, and a clear vision of what it takes to win in May and June. When these two worlds meet in a well-managed environment, historic rosters emerge. The possibility of Ja Morant learning directly from Stephen Curry and Draymond Green is not only attractive to fans, it is something that can redefine the player's own ceiling. From a tactical standpoint, coaches can visualize countless variations. Morant can lead the second unit at certain moments, maintaining the offensive level when Curry rests, something that has long been pointed out as one of the team's main challenges. In other situations, the two can share the perimeter, multiplying playmaking lines and leaving defenses completely disoriented. Pick and rolls, handoffs, hard cuts, and three-pointers after drives create a vast offensive menu that is difficult to guard for 48 minutes. Defense also comes into play. Although Morant is mainly recognized for his offensive impact, his athletic ability opens up room for defensive evolution within a system that demands collective commitment. On the Warriors, defense starts with communication and ends with help. With the right guidance, his explosiveness and agility can be directed toward pressuring passing lanes, contesting perimeter shots, and speeding up offensive transitions after steals. This not only strengthens the team, but also increases the number of easy, fast break points. On the emotional side for the fan base, there is another important factor: renewed hope. Every big signing carries with it a narrative of restart, of new possibilities. After seasons full of ups and downs, the arrival of a name like Morant symbolizes the idea that the team is not satisfied with discrete playoff appearances. The goal is clear: to once again be a protagonist in conference finals and compete for the ultimate trophy. This flame reignites passion, fills arenas, and fuels conversations around the world. At the same time, sports management analysts watch the impact this move would have on the market. Future contracts, extension values, and even the league's perception of the Warriors' power of attraction change. Players approaching the end of their contracts see Golden State as an even more interesting destination, not only because of its winning history, but also for the chance to play alongside a lethal backcourt and to constantly be in high-stakes games broadcast globally. This makes new negotiations easier and keeps the franchise as a magnet for talent. It is also impossible not to mention the psychological factor on rivals. Teams facing the Warriors already come in with a high level of concentration, knowing that any stretch of lack of focus can result in an avalanche of three-pointers. Adding Morant to the context makes opponents' mental preparation even heavier. It is playing 48 minutes with no break, because any opening turns into a fast break. Any poorly executed switch results in a drive. Any poorly timed double team creates a completely wide-open shot. This kind of constant pressure wears opponents down over the course of the season, and especially in playoff series. It is in this environment of tactical precision and mental resilience that special players make the difference. Morant has already shown countless times that he does not shy away from big moments. Now, imagine that surrounded by teammates used to finals, who understand the weight of a decisive possession and have already proven they can execute under maximum pressure. The sum of these elements creates an extremely dangerous scenario for any opponent. Like every great NBA story, there is also a human layer. Morant is at a point in his career where decisions shape legacies. Titles, individual awards, cultural impact, and memories that last forever depend on the choices made now. The chance to write decisive chapters wearing the Golden State Warriors uniform offers exactly that kind of opportunity. At the same time, it provides a solid professional structure with technical and organizational support capable of helping his development on and off the court. This combination between individual ambition and a collective project usually produces memorable seasons. When talent finds direction, when personal brilliance fits into a system that values the group, dynasties emerge. That is why this possible move of Morant to the Warriors is not seen only as a strong trade, but as a move that could define an era. The league, the fans, the commentators, and the players themselves feel that something big is in the air. Connecting all these points, we see how the pieces fit together. The Warriors' need to renew without losing competitiveness, Morant's desire to compete for titles right away, the compatible playing style, the consolidated coaching structure, the global commercial impact, and the psychological effect on the league. None of this by itself explains the magnitude of the rumor, but together it forms a clear mosaic. It is one of those rare moments when talent, opportunity, and context seem to move in the same direction. If everything is confirmed, the next chapter will be written on the court where there is no room for empty narratives. There, what prevails is execution, discipline, chemistry, and the ability to overcome adversity. And that is exactly what makes this possible union so fascinating. The feeling that, if it works, we may witness one of the most exciting and efficient playing styles ever seen in the modern NBA. So, Golden State Warriors fan, keep following every step of this story. A lot can still happen, and the developments promise to be intense. If you want to stay on top of everything, don't forget to support the channel. Subscribe now, leave a like, and turn on notifications. This helps a lot and ensures that you receive all the updates about this possible arrival of Morant and about all the news from our team.